Hello, ma'am. My name is Vinny Sharma, and this is Ria Wilson. And today we'll be taking your interview with Gifting Smiles with Pride, sponsored by Enzo Plus. Thank you so much for coming, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Ma'am, actually, we have been greatly heard about you from watching your videos, anchoring from OK Tested to knowing that you've been editor at Scoopoo. We've seen you doing a lot. I think there is not even a single video any one of us missed, considering how funny and witty it has been, from your puns to having your Instagram page, bugging about every single thing. So, do you want to share something about your journey before we begin?
I think I've mentioned everything. There's nothing left to speak about. But so yeah, I started out as a confused young millennial at one point. I missed the time when millennials meant being young. So yeah, I started out there. And, I wanted to do something where I could write a lot and, talk about things that I feel very strongly about. So one of my first jobs ever was working at this place called News Laundry. I don't know if you've heard about it. So that kind of made me a very big jhole wala person who talk about issues and, be very vocal about things that I felt very strongly about. And I'm also from Lady Shri Ram College, and that kind of gave me the environment to open a dialogue, and kind of it really taught me how to take control of the narrative and be open about things that really bother someone. What else? Yeah, and then it's everything else you've already spoken about. Everything that's out in the open. Check my LinkedIn profile, Yeah. So currently, I'm a content creator who talks about two periods too much for her own good. So yeah, that's where I am right now, and I'm glad that we're at a point that you can say it and talk about it, and from the whole blue blood in ads era, we have kind of evolved from there, come to where we are now.
That's great, ma'am. Ria, can you start the question?
Yeah. So, ma'am, the first question is, do you consider gender neutral periods a new phenomenon?
Okay, so I wouldn't say it's a new phenomenon. I would say we have recognized it recently. Like a lot of other things, right? Because it's one of those things that you suddenly discovered and gave a name to, but you didn't know that it existed because you didn't know better earlier, right? There was fire. It always existed, but once you discovered it, then you named it and kind of thought that it had uses. So similarly with something like a gender neutral period, we have only now sort of become comfortable enough to talk about it and to recognize that there is such a thing. It's not a womanly problem, it's not a girly problem, and that there are that there is a requirement of inclusion even in something that was otherwise so tightly woven in a feminine conversation. So yeah, it was always there. It's just that we're recognizing it now.
So, ma'am, I think, we've seen your video. You've been in this industry for over 6 years now, and I've seen your video on OK Tested. You have a couple of videos where you show men certain products on menstruation or just basic girl products, and they identified it. And that just had a boom. Every page started doing it. Everyone started identifying. So do you feel social media as a platform has a much more driven expertise, especially on menstruation, to has this taboo lifting from our country itself? Or do you feel it's just this millennial generation?
I feel like this, it's not really, see now there has been a lot of shift in even how we talk about periods, in the media, right? There was once when there was a time when we would call it undino, and all of that really weird terms, very weird euphemisms used for periods, right? Once upon a time, and there was no mention of, there was no even insinuation towards that there could be blood or whatever. It was blue liquid. And anybody who doesn't know what it is would never know what is being advertised. in those ads, right?
Yeah.
And then slowly, you know, we came to a point where we could talk about something like a girl ad, right? Something like that campaign. Also, though I have my problems with it, calling it like a girl again. Similarly, it kind of alienates the whole gender neutral period conversation. Although it did well in a to kind of alleviate, remove a certain other kinds of taboos, which was great. So that happened, and you know, there was this one brand, I'm forgetting which one, which for the first time showed blood in the ad, and that sparked a huge conversation about periods, and the fact that, look, there is blood, now what? Like it's there. Yeah. So just we can also see this whole parallel media conversation also evolving and growing up, and learning that देखो होता है, so be okay with it. Like, what is, there's nothing wrong in talking about it. No,
Of
it's
course,
like, yeah.
You shouldn't shy away from it, kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah. So and you know, a lot of the fact that social media has democratized content. There are so many creators who are not talking about it, like myself included. I've seen so many memes on Tumblr where there is glitter on tampon and stuff like that, which otherwise, if you'd shown this 15 years earlier, it would have just been so gross and, oh my god, this is so weird, how can you do that? But the more you're seeing these images, the more you're kind of getting desensitized towards it, and you're being, it's like, it's fine.
Priya?
I'll ask the second question, sir.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, personally, what do you think about having periods not having any kind of association with gender? Like, it's not just the girls who have it. What do you think about?
Okay. So menstruation is a biological function, right? It's not a girly thing or a woman thing. So, and okay, so if you actually think about it, there are so many cisgendered women who don't have periods, who for any reason, maybe there's an underlying condition, maybe they have hit menopause, maybe they've had a hysterectomy for some reason. So many reasons why cisgendered women also wouldn't have a period. And on the other hand, there are also non-binary people, or transgendered men, or intersex people, etc., who do menstruate, and this whole conversation of calling it a feminine thing is so alienating towards them, right? So it's like everything else that the patriarchy has oversimplified. It's also oversimplified periods, because they've made it men ko nahi hota, women ko hota hai. Similarly, I mean, even that oversimplification has trickled into this as well, and it's become very difficult. It had, of course, become very difficult to kind of take it back to that and say, and go to point zero and say, no, wait, everyone, a lot of people do. It's not just women. Who menstruate. So yeah, it is of course important to talk about this. It's important to go back to your books and say, first of all, you have to make people comfortable with saying that there is a huge spectrum of genders, and and there is so much more men, women, and
more than that.
Exactly. So then, of course, it's first you do that, and then you go back and say, chalo, now that you're comfortable with this, now understand this also. Right?
No, we understand completely, because yesterday only we were fortunate enough to have Piyush Madhwa. He was a trans man, so he was a female before. Now he's converted himself to a man completely. So when he had faced his journey, he was so easily able to understand the struggles that a woman goes through, and was not saying it as tantrums. Still, there are times people consider this as tantrums and say that, if you're a girl, you have to face this. And the taboo of understanding that this is still a core problem for a lot of people is just such a struggle for people to explain. And that's exactly the reason we started this campaign with Pride itself. I mean, that's the basic agenda we're trying to provide. So I'll ask you the third question, ma'am. Do you have anything, ma'am, you want to ask so far? Shall we continue with our third question?
No, it's fine.
It's fine, no, ma'am. So, ma'am, as we know, we are having a donation drive itself. We are collecting sanitary napkins pan India. We have around 1,000 packs so far we've collected. So, ma'am, underprivileged menstruators still till date use cloth as a substitute, and they consider this to be healthy and hygienic. And they think that using tampons or using cups or using sanitary pad may do something regarding to their virginity. And this stigma is so deeply enrooted into a lot of people. Do you think that we somehow, or you as an individual, feel that there's a change possible in any way?
So, I mean, the only way to bring about change in anything is educate and make people understand and make people aware that the way you thought the world works is not how it works. Right? It's and more than like just handing out sanitary napkins is one thing, but more than that, it's more important to maybe make someone understand that, look, someone you make someone understand it's okay to ask for it, and we have access to it, and openly talk about the fact that that this is not okay for you and you need more. And like, I'll give you a personal example. Like, I having been in a privileged environment, having access to hygiene, I still got a UTI a few months back. And it's not it wasn't a painful experience per se, but it's a frustrating experience, right? Just a minor urinary infection. It's really like it's annoying, but I still got it, and the odds were so few, and yet I got it. And imagine a person who does not have access to proper hygiene, is using cloths that may have pathogens breeding in it, could be like could be exposed to far bigger infections. Just making someone understand that, and opening a dialogue so that they can access better or more hygienic products for themselves is, of course, probably the most important thing to do, more than just giving freebies. Is that the right word to use? I guess
we'll just take that. It's all right, ma'am. So, ma'am, you mentioned the word education, so I couldn't stop myself and just pick on the word. Do you feel that the education system in our country needs to be changed all over? Because I remember reading in 10th grade that we were taught about plants more than ourselves, more than the human anatomy.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
So do you feel that the change starts from there itself, or is there something that we can do? Is there a system that we can change, or some subject we need to add? What's your take on it?
My teacher skipped over the chapter only.
I think teachers everywhere
they did that.
When I was 18, I realized that अच्छा मेरा period वाला sex वाला जो organ है वाला है वो अलग है. Okay. It took me a while to realize that.
I don't understand why they used to say, no, this you read and you'll understand. No, you have to teach us.
You have to tell us. This is horrifying. Otherwise, like, there's a other cut over testicle ka diagram. Okay, I'm not going to understand this myself. Like,
I thought we were alone yesterday. Every single person said the same thing.
Oh my God.
Class discussion and everybody said this. Like, and all of us were in different school, and it's so crazy how teachers everywhere. Be it, I'm from Kerala, be it Bombay, be it Gujarat, anywhere, it's the same curriculum.
Oh my God! And then they say no giggling and making us defensive towards it. I mean, just teach it as a normal thing.
Oh my God!
Do you think now kids are having a lot more knowledge about it from textbooks than we did? Because last time we had a conversation, they said online class, maybe this is what happens. Boys in one breakout room, girls in one breakout room, they teach the girls this.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
That's horrible. Okay, then
Exactly.
I mean, all those teachers need to retire, and then need to be like a new crop of teachers to come in. Everybody should watch Sex Education on Netflix first of all. Not a paid promotion, but watch. So, like those are actually very important conversations that they've actually started. It's a very nice medium for people to learn things that they couldn't learn in school. Things that teachers very conveniently glossed over. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess as children, especially like I don't know about now, but I mean, at least in our generation, we got more knowledge from porn than our textbooks about sex.
That is so wrong. Like that's not what it is, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's so harmful. Like how do as adults don't realize how harmful it is for kids to not learn from other places and not learn the right way and not know the right terminology or be sensitized towards it in through a normal
learn basic values of consent and everything. They just see random stuff. Riya, do you have any other question?
No, the same thing I had asked earlier itself, but can you on record, can you say how people viewed your articles on women web scenes and how open they were to discussions on your articles and even if it is the memes you made, how it was accepted or not accepted by the general audience?
So I used to write for this webzine called Vagabond, and then I shifted to Scoop, which is the main webzine, right? So I noticed this very marked difference in how a conversation around women's issues were received when it was an only women environment versus a more open platform. It was obviously much more, there was a much more open dialogue where there were just women or just and a more safe environment for say non-cisgendered men, right, and non-binary folk, etc. It was a much more it was received much more positively in that environment, as opposed to when I used to write for Scoop. Very similar topics, they used to be perceived as ye kya bol rahi hai, why are you wasting our time and all, and and that kind of probably even discouraged women from talking about it as well in a public forum. But when it came to a women's forum, it was much more receptive. There was a much more receptive audience that I got, that all of us got when it came to stuff like this.
So adding on to that, I had this thought that just came. So did you have any editorial kind of rapport with people, and did anyone write back to you, any guy mainly write back to you on the same how on what you spoke but was afraid to portray it publicly? Did you have anybody talk about it? Because a guy talking about it, it's not too they'll be always shamed for it, right? So
not really, I would say that so I mean, also technically there's a technical issue there, because I stopped writing a long time ago, because I mean, as an editor you don't write as much. So there isn't the era of feedback was kind of lost on me after a while. So I mean, it wasn't all what was visible for me was the feedback on public forums, which I noticed that it was way more how would I say, a more positive ecosystem, a more positive environment for men and women to talk about it openly on a all women's forum rather than a school thing.
I think that's just because you were on, I think especially when you're on social media platforms where you get recognition, people start appreciating you for the things you do. But in general, when people talk about it, I mean, yesterday when we were having discussion, there were only 2 people who raised their hands who actually bought sanitary napkins for someone of their family member, any of their family member. And still, it's such a shunned topic. I don't know when the change might happen. But ma'am, thank you so much for your time, because I think people like you and creators like you have helped us a lot to just develop this knowledge that this
Open
isn't the
up
topic.
about this.
Open
Yeah.
up about it, actually.
Like, when I feel my guy friends be like, in a circle they wouldn't talk about it, but when I send memes or anything related to periods, they always have so much to say, and I always ask them, like, why don't you talk about it, like, when we're all together? So that's the difference. Like, right now, like, now everybody started opening up, and like, they're more open to having conversations about it. And I think that all comes from content creation, like, from you guys.
I mean, I remember my my husband buying a sanitary a Whisper ka packet, and he told the chemist ki it's okay, kaale packet mein dalne ki zarurat nahi. So look, he was like, that guy's like, ye kaun sa alien aa gaya? And don't put it in that. It's like you're wasting another packet and putting it in
Use
the
paper,
Yeah.
packet.
That came to an end in Kerala when the floods happened and everybody was in need of sanitary napkins, and no one cared whether it was wrapped in a paper or it came in a cover. Everyone just like, wanting to help people. I think that came in Kerala, especially, like, I've seen it happen in front of me, was when this happened.
Imagine you need a literal disaster.
Exactly.
Yeah, for people to understand.
I mean, you need something that big to realize, like, this is just a sanitary napkin. Like, it's not a big thing.
Exactly. It's not a nuclear weapon. Like
Exactly. You don't have to hide it.
Hide it. I guess that was it, ma'am. Ria, do you have anything else you want to ask?
Not really.
Not really, no? Ma'am,
No.
thank you so much for your time, ma'am. You've been very humble to us. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, can we take a picture so that we can...
Yeah.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, ma'am.
Bye bye.